Good evening and welcome to Estuary TV News. I'm Hugh Riches. My guest tonight is Nikki Jarvis, talking about the Lincolnshire Wolds Walking Festival. And we have the usual sports roundup. But first, it's over to James Dunn for the news.
Hello. In the headlines today, local firefighter strikes were entirely avoidable, according to the union. And find out more about the local battalion who fought for our country a century ago. Firefighters in the Fire Brigades Union say Sunday's strikes could have been avoided if the government had shared alternative proposal that they've had since March. Firefighters across Humberside went on strike on Sunday over changes to pay and pensions and budget cuts that have led to the closure and reduced hours of local fire stations. And Sunday's strikes may not be the last, as the unions say that the government refuses to come back to the table and negotiate. They also claim the last strike was entirely avoidable, as a letter leaked to the FBU shows that the Fire Minister has had alternative proposals since March that have not been shared with the union. They're fighting for the government over 9 separate issues, including the increase in the retirement age from 55 to 60 in what is a physically demanding job.
What's happening now is firefighters are having to work longer, they're getting less pension, but one of the biggest problems is, as you know, it's a demanding occupation. Firefighters need to be fit, so obviously the older you get, that fitness obviously comes into question. Now we get fitness tested, and our concern is if firefighters aren't fit enough to carry out the role due to the age, then obviously there are implications where they could be dismissed on the grounds of capability. Basically no job, no pension, which is just not acceptable. One of the things that we're trying to get is that there is some provision in place, some protection arrangements that will allow firefighters, should they have to retire, get a better pension at the end of it.
The former chair of a local Royal Air Force Association has been jailed for more than 5 years for 5 counts of indecent assault. Bill McCann, 67, of Kingsway, Cleethorpes, was sentenced at Grimsby Crown Court on Thursday. Until November, he was the chair of the Grimsby and Cleethorpes RAF Association. He is well known in the community and was instrumental in organising the Cleethorpes Armed Forces Weekend. This year's Humberston Fun Run raised more than double the amount it raised the previous year. Around 500 runners lined up at the start on Sunday for the community run, open to people of all abilities. It raised a total of £1,890 for the Humberston and North Sea Lions, and they allocate the money to needy causes throughout the year. And there was some sibling rivalry at the front of the pack as Thomas Nuttall finished first, closely followed by his twin brother Luke.
Yeah, it's a really good event. It brings all the people together and we all enjoy it.
Yeah, and all ages can compete. So it's just a really good event for the community.
Yeah, and although we took it competitively, it doesn't have to be a competitive thing. It's just good for anyone to do.
And there'll be more on that on tomorrow's news, and maybe you'll spot yourself or someone you know in the crowd. The pool at Grimsby Leisure Centre will remain closed until further notice because of a burst water pipe. It was closed before the bank holiday weekend, and the council said they hoped to get it fixed as soon as possible, but they say they still don't know when it will reopen. Sue Wells, Assistant Director for Culture, Leisure and Sport, said given the age and condition of the building, it shows the need for new pool facilities. And finally, a series of talks will be held in Grimsby and Cleethorpes as part of the centenary commemorations for the start of the First World War. The first of the talks features local historian Steve Ramley, who will be giving a lecture on the 1st 5th Lincolnshire Regiment, which was made up of men from across the northern Lincolnshire and was a territorial battalion. It aims to give an insight into the local soldiers who fought.
The 1st 5th were part of the 46th North Midland Brigade, and they were the first complete territorial division to actually go to the Western Front on March 3rd, 1915. And at first they were just given the job of holding the line. They were at a place called, very hard to pronounce, Vidchate, or as the British soldiers called it, White Sheet, for obvious reasons, which was a ridge opposite a place called Kemmel, and perhaps more famously known as the Mezines Ridge. It was the Mezines Vidchate Ridge. They were there for a few months just holding the line, getting to know how trenches worked. But of course, because the Germans had retired to this ridge, they were actually looking down at the Lincolnshire men, and quite a few casualties were sustained. They actually were told that the Germans were bad shots before they went out, but they soon found out that they weren't bad shots.
The talk takes place this Thursday at Cleethorpes Library, and it's advised you book in advance. That's all from me. I'll see you next time.
10 years ago, a walking event was set up, which has gone from strength to strength. It's the largest of its kind in the UK, and it's jointly managed by Heritage Lincolnshire and the Lincolnshire Wolds Countryside Service. This year's launch will take place at Healing Manor Hotel in North East Lincolnshire. And with me is Nikki Jarvis, who's the event organiser. Nikki, many thanks for coming in. First of all, just when will the event be and how long will it go on for?
We launch on the 17th of May, that's a Saturday, and we have 16 days of walks, finishing up on the 1st of June in Horncastle.
And where should people be if they want to take part?
Gosh, all over the place actually. They can come along to Healing Manor, as you mentioned, and then the walks are happening all around the Wolds and on the outskirts of the Wolds. And you can just find the details on our website and then mostly just turn up and take part in the events.
Does it cost anything?
Some walks invite donations, a handful of the walks charge, but most are free.
And how did this walking festival, how did it start? What was the idea behind it?
Well, East Lindsey District Council came up with the idea and worked with partners including the Ramblers and other local authority partners and pulled together some funding and tried it out. And in the first year I think they had 50 walks and it worked really well, and it's just grown from strength to strength. It's amazing.
And it's popular, people turn up, lots of people turn up.
It's hugely popular. We had about 5,000 people taking part last year. We had 101 walks, and this year we've got 130 walks, and we expect more people again. Yeah, lots.
Now, these walks, are these sort of Himalayan hikes, or are they gentle strolls in the park? What can one expect if one comes along for this?
We've got something for everybody. So if you've got a pushchair, or you're in a wheelchair, or you can manage, a half mile with plenty of stops, then we can do that for you. Or if you want to get out there in the wind and the rain, should it be raining in May, and do a 20-mile hike, then we can do that too.
And you've got one walk, I think, that's even longer than that.
60 miles, but not in one day.
Okay, and where's that big one? That's the marathon, isn't
We're
it?
tracing the first 60 miles of the Viking Way from Barton upon Humber, finishing up in Woodall Spa. Something like 18 miles on the first day and then 12 to 15 miles on the other days, with overnight stops along the way, but also a bus laid on so that anybody who wants to go home at the end of each day or can only manage to fit one of the days in, or 15 miles be plenty for them, then they can just do that day.
A bus? That's cheating.
No, it's the return journey. So we've got sponsorship from Treetop Cottages and Spa, and we've got a great walk leader, and we'll be basically taking people along the route, and then they get to return to their vehicles or to the train station or wherever it is they need to go.
So what can people expect on the walk? I mean, obviously the Wolds are extremely beautiful, even
Yes.
whatever the weather actually. The Wolds are always rather lovely. But you mentioned leaders of these walks and things like that. So what other features will there be to...
Well, the walks are divided into talking walks and walking walks. So from the brochure, if it's a walking walk, that means that you're not going to be expected to stand and listen to somebody spouting forth on something really interesting like the local history or geology or fauna and flora. And then the people who absolutely love to go somewhere and learn something will get that too. So it might be a heritage walk around one of the market towns, or I don't know, a former battlefield from the Civil War. So lots of those sorts of activities, and also lots of family activities too. So children can learn something, discover something about bugs and crawly beasties, or go sort of building shelters. Lots of different activities.
And you have one for singles, I hear.
We do, yes. Everyone wants to know about that, Hugh. I
Really?
wonder why. Yes, it's. I'm so delighted
It
because.
sounds very intriguing.
Well, yes, I was asked to lead the speed dating walk, and I'm delighted to be doing it. Slightly nervous, and so we're looking for 15 men and 15 women. I have to say the women have joined us with alacrity, but I think that's down to the fact that we're offering cake at the end. Speaking as a woman. And so we've got a fair number of men still looking for some more chaps, and I'm going to lead everyone on a 4-mile walk, and along the way everyone will have a quiz sheet and I'll blow a whistle, and every so often partners will swap over hopefully have a good laugh while doing it. And you never know, you know, it's really hard to meet people. So it's a way of getting people out there, having a bit of a laugh and yeah, just enjoying life.
Well, there's precedent for this sort of thing, isn't there? I think this has resulted in wedding bells from time to time.
We've shamelessly copied this. The Isle of Wight Walking Festival is undeniably the biggest event of its kind. And they've been doing rather well for a number of years, and they've got marriages and babies to their credit. I'm assuming that happens after the walk, because we haven't planned for
Possibly
that.
during.
We've got plenty of bushes. Yeah, so yes, who knows? If this goes well, we'll do it again. And yes, but it's all the walks are great for single people or for people who just want to meet new friends, because the great thing about walking is you're out there nattering to people that you've not met before. So the speed dating walk just takes it up to one more level.
There is a health aspect to this as well, isn't there? I mean, we're told that we should be walking at least 2 or 3 hours a week if we're going to remain healthy,
Yes.
and that activity is necessary. And yet we all get in our cars and trundle off to work and to the supermarket and to the pub, and we don't, or not to the pub if we're driving, but we don't walk nearly enough. We don't get that exercise.
It's been in the news very recently, the whole challenge of getting people out there walking. Walking is fantastic because it's so easy to do, and you can take it at your own pace, and it delivers health benefits for your heart, for your mental health. So if you're feeling a bit low, getting out and walking actually, you know, makes a change to how you feel. In terms of reducing cancer, it's, you know, likelihood of cancer, it's just extraordinary. So it's really simple, really sensible to do. We have substantial funding this year from the Lincolnshire County Council's Health Walks programme, because we're delivering something which has a direct benefit in relation to, you know, getting people walking, keeping them healthy.
What could we do to be walking? I mean, we've got the wolds on our doorstep. We've got these beautiful little market towns. What can we do to get ourselves walking more often rather than just simply sitting on our backsides in front of the sofa as we are now?
Well, absolutely. Nice sofa. It's the hardest thing, because all of us, when, you know, you do your work or you're home looking after children or cooking the dinner, the thought of actually getting out there is just, you know, it's just one more step, isn't it? But the beauty is that you can just pull on any sorts of outdoor clothes and just get out of the front door and just do a 10-minute walk. Just do it, and you'll feel better and you'll be pleased with yourself, and then you can do a bit more. But even better, go and have a look at our brochure and come and do one of our walks and just get the bug.
And just very quickly to finish off, it starts off Healing Manor. And what was the date again it starts?
Saturday the 17th of May.
What time should people be there?
10 o'clock. Walks all day.
Thank you very much, Nikki.
Thank you.
And now for the sport. Steve Bruce's Hull City side lost 3-1 at Aston Villa. Despite the defeat, there was some good news, as Arsenal's 4th place finish was sewn up, meaning Hull are guaranteed Europa League football next season, no matter what happens in the FA Cup final against the Gunners. Scunthorpe were promoted to League One after a 2-all draw with York City guaranteed them a 2nd place finish. Grimsby suffered playoff misery for the 2nd season in a row, going down 4-2 on aggregate against Gateshead. Paul Hurst will hope his side can fare better next season in their bid to get back into the Football League. It was a similar story for North Ferriby, who lost 3-0 overall in their own playoff games against Guiseley in the Conference North. Billy Heath will be disappointed with the result, but will take heart from the great strides that his team have made this season. Cricket. Market Raisin played Bracebridge Heath. They scored 130, but Bracebridge Heath won with 134 after losing just 2 wickets. Bourne scored 231 for 8, beating Sleaford's 201 for 9. Cleethorpes Cricket Club won at Scarborough by 6 wickets in the Yorkshire ECB Premier League. But Louth's 181 for 9 wasn't enough at Woodhull Spa, who scored 229 for 8. Finally, unfortunately, Nathan French was defeated by Muma Mwimba in French's last bout as an amateur fighter before he steps up to professional level. That's all from us this time round. If you have any stories, email news@estuary.tv or contact us as usual via our Twitter or Facebook pages, or pick up the phone and call 01472 31 5561. Until tomorrow, goodbye.